Yeah, so okay, was just letting that opening, play out without me interrupt, trying to speak over it. So, um, for those who are unaware, this game was a sort of mini game of sorts. That was made to tie in with the film Tremors 4. See, now I'm I I am a rather I always freeze up over these sort of things. But anyway, so yeah, I'm a fan of the series. Um, Never really became mainstream or anything. Understandable enough, I guess. But it's I mean, yeah, I understand why it didn't become mainstream because it's a series about like killer worms in a sense. So, well, it was actually a very good film series. Okay, maybe not very good. The first one was great. The other ones were good, I would say, but not as good. But they were serviceable. After the fourth one, like with 5 and 6, no, just those were trash. They the geniuses at Universal were like, let's fire the main writers and directors for the series and replace them with some guy who made his living by directing sci-fi original movies. Yeah, it is quite a shame how that went down. And then they tried to, like, I guess, make, like, reboot the series or whatever with Blumhouse on board. And but that didn't went through. And you know what? Thankfully it didn't. Because even though Blumhouse has a good reputation, I can just tell that they were gonna steer the series in a direction that I wasn't gonna like at all. I mean, the fact that they just flat out decided to turn down, um, to meet up with the original writers or anything like that, it just shows that they completely disregarded the series in that sense. Okay, I'm rambling too long. I might as well just get to playing this game. So all these guns right here are weapons used within the actual film. So at least to making it feel like you're playing the movie in that sense, it actually succeeds. It I mean, this is a flash game, so it is rather, you know, it's rather cheap looking and everything, but it's actually um, rather fun to play. Um, I mean, if you play it long enough, I suppose maybe you kind of wish there was a bit more, but it's still novel enough where, every once in a while, I, you would want to play it or something like that. Yes, the punt gun. That's one thing I like the series. That's one thing I like about the series. Just it always has memorable elements in moments like this, using a punt gun to blow up the graboids. So I mean, pop up at different ranges, like 4 or 5 different ranges. Yeah, about 5 different ranges. And if you fail to stop them at the 5th range, then you're pretty much screwed. So the next time this guy pops up, pump him full of lead. So they're basically the two main weapons you would want to use is the Sharp's 1874 Buffalo Rifle and the Henry 1860 Repeater. So let's jump the difficulty a bit. So each gun has a reload time, and like this one takes like 30 seconds or something like that. The punt gun the punt gun takes a minute to reload. You know what? You probably already read that, so no need for me to repeat that. But yeah, that's the 5th range. Sad thing about this game is that the film studio that was distributing this retired the game, so you can no longer download it. You can still play it online, but I've heard that they are planning on like ending Flash Player or whatever, so I'm not sure if even you'll be able to play the other versions of this game online either. So I mean, the main website that was hosting this game has shut it down since, so you can no longer play it on the Stampede website. Speaking about Tremors games, they were apparently planning to make one for the original Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube, and it was going to be like a survival horror action game, and that honestly sounded pretty cool. Like, you would have to find ways to master body temperature or make the least amount of sound as possible. I mean, just imagine if these graboids had like alien isolation AI. Oh shoot. Like, just imagine if they had the AI capability of the alien from, well, isolation. Oh yeah, that's one thing. For those who don't know, the graboids in the films are actually fairly intelligent. Like, they're capable of learning and adapting to whatever is going on. So, like, if the characters were to, like, kill one of their own, they would, they would sense that, and, they would attempt to take away whatever is killing them from the characters, or turn it on them. Turn it against them, so. It's actually one of the things that makes the series fun. It's just how smart these things are. Because at some points they're like these mindless monsters just going around eating people, and then at other points, like at pivotal points, they are just totally fooling everyone and doing the unexpected. But unfortunately, there's none of that in this game. They just pretty much like whack-a-mole with guns. I mean, not to say it's not fun, but it's like, I mean, this game's still fun, it's just, a bit limiting. Let's go to 3. What? I guess you can only choose the difficulty twice. Never mind, so... So, back to that one game I was talking about. For some reason that I can't understand, it was cancelled quietly. Like, they never even really... It was announced, and then... like, nothing ever... Oh, shoot. Nothing was ever announced again. It was just... That was it. Now, it really sucks that Universal decided to get rid of the main writers. Like, they understand this franchise better than anybody else. Obviously, the guy that they hired to replace them doesn't. I mean, I haven't seen 5 or 6, but I heard something along the lines that graboids can detach their tongue tentacles or whatever, and it's like, and they operate as like independent snakes. Like, that's just absolutely, it's asinine. Okay, it's just completely absurd. I mean, one of the fun things about this series is, with each installment, they keep introducing something new about the graboids or whatever, but that pretty much took it over the line. Now, some might say that the new graboids form in the third movie was absolutely ridiculous, but at least there's a real-life basis for that one. Like, there's an actual beetle that does that sort of thing. They don't use it for flying, however, but that was the creative liberty that the writers took, because they thought it was more fun to do it that way. If you do somehow manage to get a hold of this game, you're gonna need like a Adobe Flash content debugger or something like that to play it, which is what I'm using over here. For the longest time, I thought I needed some sort of Adobe Flash installer or whatever to play it, and it just wouldn't open, and I thought I was doing something wrong, or maybe the file was somehow corrupted or whatever. But no, I just needed something else within the realm of Adobe products to play this game. Now, I've been playing a lot of Doom recently, mainly as a result of finishing the reboot of Doom, which is fantastic. Especially fun to play it on Switch. And basically what I'm getting at is make a Doom WOD based upon this. I mean, just imagine not only you're going up against the graboids, but you're also going up against, you know, the Shriekers or the ABs or whatever. I'm just gonna call them Thunderbirds, since apparently that's one of the other names for them. But anyway, I mean, it would definitely fit, I would think. I mean, just watch. Oh, that was a terrible time to demonstrate. But what I was getting at was, like in Doom, at least the classic games, you know, you can like punch your opponent if you so desired, and this game has that. It's basically last resort sort of weapon. Well, let's take care of 4 of these guys. You know, like at one point I asked the, how do I put this, so at one point I asked if they were ever gonna make expansions for this game. I mean, I guess it's fairly obvious that they aren't now, but since it's been retired and you can no longer download it, but apparently, I guess the code or whatever was heavily outdated, and considering that they didn't actually own the series at this point, they were kicked off. There was nothing they could really do. I mean, it's just, like, this game's fun. It's got a pretty solid, you know, core game, like, the core game design is fun. It's just kind of just what makes me leave with wanting more. So, as far as I'm concerned, Tremors 5 and 6 are not canon. Because not only do they just suck as like entertainment overall, but like, I mean, if it's not even from the original writers or creators, then how is it really official? I mean, I don't know what anyone else considers canon. I mean, apparently there's I'm not just talking about Tremors, I'm just talking about the concept of canon in general. I'm not entirely sure what everybody else thinks about the concept, but to me, something's canon when it's being made by the guy by the guy or people who are making it, who created, it in the first place. I mean, kind of the same reason why I didn't get invested in the new trilogy for Star Wars. I mean, once I heard that they basically casted George Lucas aside, it was like, it's not worth it. Like, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan or anything. Very casual, like as much as, the next person, but, even I would want something that came from the original creator. I mean, yeah, I get it, his prequel trilogy or whatever wasn't very good, but okay, that was rather close. His prequel trilogy wasn't good or whatever, but it's like, he is the creator. Even though it wasn't objectively good, you still have to respect it. They actually did that with, I think they actually did that with Gene Roddenberry when they were making the Star Trek movies. After the first one, flopped, they basically threw out his idea about the second film, which was going to be something revolving around time travel or something, I think. I don't know. Not a huge Star Trek fan either. And they went with they hired some director to take over who wasn't even a big fan. But despite that, he still managed to make a pretty solid movie. I mean, a lot of people consider that the best Star Trek movie. So I guess that's kind of a reverse example of throwing away the creator and it actually gets better. I think he was still on board in some capacity, but as for George Lucas, he, I guess, sold the rights, so I guess he pretty much has no say whatsoever. I mean, I heard Rise of Skywalker was the Rise of Skywalker was how do I put it? It just wasn't satisfying, I guess. So, and then everyone just totally ripped on The Last Jedi and said it was trash or whatever. But I mean, it's what? It's kind of like, what do you expect when they threw away the main creator, right? Oh, they threw away the main creator, right? And they didn't even have a solid plan. They were just gonna hire any directors they thought were, cool and edgy or whatever. Just hire anybody, not even have a solid plan. It's you would think with them owning Marvel and how they plan out, the entire MCU or whatever, they would have, had a solid plan, but it was, from what I understand, it was kind of basically improvised, so ultimately, I mean, I'm not gonna say people were idiotic for investing their time in the trilogy. Maybe it could have been something good. Maybe it could have been like a Star Trek 2 type of thing, but I mean, that's just the downsides. Like, and I wasn't willing to get invested into something if there was a risk of it just totally disrespecting everything that came before it. And a lot of people say that's what happened. But again, I'm not like really huge Star Wars fan, so I'm not devastated. It's just kind of sad. Man. So I was playing this game to talk about the movies, and instead I talk about something I don't even care that much about. Explain that. So I guess I'll talk about the Tremors sequels, which I thought weren't. I never thought any of them like came as close to being as good as the first one, but they were all decent. I thought. Of course, again, I'm not considering 5 and 6. Those aren't canon, and they are trash. So, I guess I'll start with Tremors 2. Actually, I think that's probably one of my least favorite sequels. So, I mean, I can't recite the plot, like the plot summary off my head. Or maybe I can. Let's see. So, I guess. So. Wow, that. Okay, so. I kind of forgot one of the main characters' names, which makes me feel pretty stupid right now. Okay, so apparently Earl from the first movie, right, gets contacted by the Mexican government to... Was it the Mexican government? Well, he gets contacted by somebody from Mexico to get rid of a bunch of graboids that have started to plague this oil field or whatever, or refinery. And he accepts the job. Oh my gosh. Hey, you want to see something fun?
Stampede!
Yeah, I know, it's stupid.
Stampede!
Anyway, so he accepts the job because he started a business venture that did not turn out well, which was basically an ostrich farm. And a devoted fan also joins him in, you know, in the task of killing the graboids. And they have quite a bit to kill. And it gets to the point that they contact Bert from the first movie to come in and mow down on some of these worms. So, but later on in the movie, they find out that that the graboids go through another stage of their life cycle, and basically they become like these velociraptor type things called shriekers. And yeah, so then they have to learn how to cope with that and whatever. So, um, so yeah, it's my least favorite. It's probably one of my least favorite sequels in the series because, like, honestly, I thought it just leaned too much on comedy. Like, I'm not saying all the jokes were bad, but after a while, it's just, I mean, there's like joke after joke, and it's not like individually that they're bad or anything. It's just that, it just kind of doesn't really feel like that. There's, you know, there's just not much tension going on. It's just, I mean, the first 2/3 of the film are pretty lighthearted, so like, and also the graboids, they were basically like just like nerfed in their killing capability. They were just being like destroyed left and right, and they did this just to make the shriekers that appear seem more menacing during the last third of the movie, the last act, and so like basically the first 2/3 are like, it's kind of boring. I think it's just, they're just breezing through all these worms, crawling around in some Mexican oil field or whatever, and then we had to like wait quite a bit just to get to the good stuff. Although honestly, they did do a pretty solid reveal of the Shriekers. I mean, then after that, I also kind of, but after the reveal, I don't know. I guess I don't feel like the ending was as satisfying as it could have been. I'm not saying it was bad, just I don't know, just kind of. If I watched the movie a little more recently, I'd probably be have a I'd probably have a more complete opinion about it, but from what I remember from the two times I rewatched it, or from the two times I've watched it, um, it's kind of boring and too lighthearted. In the first film, yeah, there's some jokes and humor and stuff like that, but there was like a constant, there was quite a bit of suspense during like the first third of the movie, and then they find out what this thing is, and then from there's tension throughout, and they have to figure out how to kill these things, which are able to adapt to whatever's being thrown at them, just about. So yeah, the honestly, if I were to talk about the other films, actually, I guess I'll just talk about Tremors 4, since I really don't have an opinion on Tremors 3 right now. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I was able to rewatch Tremors 2 and 4, but not 3, so I can't really say if it was really, the worst or the best in the series. So I don't really have a complete opinion. So as for Tremors 4, let's skip to that one. Tremors 4, they focuses on on his name was Kern? Like Aaron? Well, basically, focuses on like Bert's great grandfather, I believe, and he's played by the same actor, Michael Gross. I think that's how you say it, Michael Gross, and one of the fun and one of the what makes that film entertaining is that Michael Gross is playing like this total antithesis to Bert, where he is totally privileged, isn't prepared for anything, somewhat of a coward in some areas. Ugh. And then well, you have to see him. You have to see him basically like grow as a character, become a man. And at the end, he starts to resemble his great grandson. And it was a fun transformation to watch. The Wild West tone of the movie, since it's set during the 1860s or whatever, or 1800s. I'm not exact. I don't exactly remember the decade, but set within the Wild West, and the Western feel actually works well with I guess the spirit of the series. Sorry for like stuttering and just coming to pauses like that. It's just that's how I am. I continually doubt myself and think I should say something else. But enough about that. Anyway, so it's just I don't know. There are just so many things on my mind. I just have trouble deciding what to say next, things like that. So anyway, the Western aesthetic really fits well with the spirit, I guess you could say, of the series. And the first film felt like a Western in a lot of ways. So honestly, I thought it was actually a good idea to have the prequel, and that's what it is, a prequel set in the 1800s. Um, so yeah, I would say that Tremors 4 was probably the best sequel to the original. I mean, can't really say about Tremors 3. Once I rewatch that, maybe I don't know. Maybe that would be in between 2 and 4, or maybe it would actually end up being the worst. I don't know. I haven't gotten around to watching the series. Yeah, there was a TV show actually based upon this, and it did have the original production company working on it, so I guess that counts as canon. The main reason why I haven't gotten around to watching them is because, despite the fact that I can watch all the episodes online, it's just that, well, the show only lasted one season, and just I guess I hate watching TV shows that are that short. I mean, they actually had something of a storyline going on within the show, and from what I read on their website, they planned on having like a lot they planned on introducing a lot more, various ideas and maybe even forms for graboids, but it's like since it got canceled after one season, it kind of just feels like I'd be watching something that's incomplete. Like I'd get invested into one thing, and then I would just, and then once I'm done watching it, it's just like I have this feeling of just have this feeling of like basically it would just be unsatisfying. I watched like one season's worth of this, and that's it. I kind of reach a dead end, and then I would just want more. It's not a good feeling. So that's the main reason why I haven't started watching this series. Although I know at some point I need to get around to doing it. Oh man. Shit. Whoa. Okay. Ah, man. And right before 40. Bye now, okay. Oh. I don't feel like dealing with it, so I've actually gotten a higher score than that. It's probably sad to say I played this game for like an hour at one point and got like 100 kills or something like that. So, uh, yeah, I guess I don't really have anything else to say right now about the Tremors franchise other than to, I don't know, to totally ignore anything after the TV series because it doesn't count. Actually, there is one more thing I want to say. Universal sucks, okay? Like, I mean, these are the people that, that own, like, Illumination, like this, uh, an animation company that makes the cheapest films possible and doesn't actually care about making, you know, good films. They just care about, cutting corners, making cute characters, and it's all about merchandising. Like, from what I understand, the merch, like oh my gosh, the amount of money they spend on like cross promotions and merchandise actually outweighed the budget of the film itself, like about 3 times over. I think even more than that. It's just, and everyone bought into it. It's like, I mean, I guess Despicable Me was okay, but everything else after that was, yeah, either mediocre or just trash. Hop, especially. I mean, what an abomination. And so they get rid of the main writers of Tremors, Stampede Entertainment, basically, and they they continually put out these Illumination films, which are terrible. Man. And then, oh, here's another thing. That freaking film that they made based upon Woody Woodpecker. Like, that's like Universal's mascot, I believe. And they made that travesty. Just, you know, it really sucks how cynical some companies are. Like, they knew the film was trash, so get this, they were like, well, this film's complete garbage. Let's just release it in the Brazilian market because um, the Woody Woodpecker films have a huge following there, so it's going to do well no matter what. So they didn't even bother to make something that was actually worth watching, and they just released it in a country where they knew, it was probably do well no matter what. It's just okay. I'm kind of repeating myself, so I mean, it's just decisions like that. Those three instances I can think of, along with like the million Land Before Time sequels that they made, that makes me just kind of hate the company. It's rather petty, but out of all those decisions, kicking the main writers off of the Tremor series was the biggest offender. I guess the Woody Woodpecker thing comes. Oh, no, that comes third. Illumination second, that's for sure. So, yeah, this was a rather unfocused video where I talked about this game and then I went off talking about Star Wars for whatever dumb reason. And then I ended with some stupid rant about Universal. But I guess that's all I have left to say. So I'll just end it here.